My name is Kyle Yeager, and today I will be going over a few things within Excel. One of them being data validation, and then the second one being name manager. Now, both of these are very, very helpful within Excel, and what data validation does is you can help your consumer use by using drop-down menus. As you can see here, I have the question, how high is my ego today? And then by clicking this drop-down menu, I can say which one it is. Obviously, it would only be one of these three options. And then Name Manager allows you to take selections and then name them whatever you would like to be useful within some spreadsheets. So let's get into it right away. And so as I was describing here with the drop-down menu is that one of the main things about it is you need to have your options somewhere on the spreadsheet. Now, whether that be off the screen here to the right out of view, or whether we have them hidden, it doesn't matter. This will still work as long as we don't delete them. Because if we delete them, as I'll show here, delete, they no longer show up. So, and if we can always change these at another time. So if we decide to put it in here, infinite. Now, if we go back to this, the drop-down menu updated. So let's show you how to do it. We're going to change this back to high. So first, you want to make sure, again, that you have your selections. And then you want to click on the cell that you want the drop-down menu to be in. And then go over to Data, and then Data Validation. Now within Settings, you click the drop-down of Allow, and this is the list of anything that you can allow. You can have whole numbers, and then or dates or times. I am going to choose List. And then it will ask you for a source here. So if I click in source, click the up arrow here, I'm going to choose our selections here. And then hit OK. And now our drop menu is here with all of our selections. And you can always change that at any time by going back to the data validation here. So another thing you can do here is, as I started to imply earlier, is having a whole number that you can only type a number somewhat in between. So I have this cell here as it has to be a number in between 3 and 7. So if I type in 9 here, it says, hey, please enter a number in between 3 and 7. And then I can hit continue, yes or no. This is not the default, however, and I'll show you how to come up with this warning so that way you can continue. So again, I'm going to be in the cell that I want this selection to be in. I am going to go over to data validation again and click whole number, and I'm going to choose a different set of numbers here, 1 and 6. So it has to be within 1 and 6. So if I try to type in 7, oh, it appears I already had something in here. We're going to try it in a new cell here. Data validation, and then whole number, 1 and 6. 7, and this is the default error. And it cannot, so it doesn't match it, so it just asks you to retry until you come up with a number that is within 1 and 6. And then it just continues on its way. So now, if we go back in here, we can have an error code, and we can change it to either a warning where it's like my example, or we can just have it display some information once you select something in that cell. So we'll go back to the warning, and then we can have 1 through 6. And then I'm just going to put in here. So that way, if I type something other than that, it comes up with our custom warning here. And then we can either hit no, so that way you can try retyping in what you want, or you can just continue anyways. And that, again, that works for any of these settings. So if you wanted a date, you can choose in between a start date and an end date, and the date must be within that. And you can also have your own custom error code. And if we go back to decimal here, let's just go ahead and put in something. And then anytime that an input message would, anything would be inserted into the cell, you can have a title and an input message saying something. So we'll just put in a test code here, and then it automatically shows up. And then if you go away from that, so maybe you can have this be a description of whatever would be in the cell. And moving on, we'll go back over to name validation. Now some Excel spreadsheets are set up this way, where you have a month here, and then you have each week of the month here, and then we have each one of our salesmen here, and we have their a number going across. Doesn't matter what number that is. So we could say that let's say you wanted to add up all of the numbers for Adam for all the weeks. You could do equal sum and then do each one of these. Now let's say you wanted to do a lot more things with Adam's numbers here. This could be quite a hassle with it, having to click and make sure you have the correct selection every single time. So one way you can do it is you can name this selection whatever you would like it, so that way you can use the selection every single time. So over in the formulas and the name manager, I'm going to click new, and then I'm going to name it Adam. It already named it that because I already made the selections, and it even brought in what I had selected here. So now we have one called Adam. And while I'm here, I'll show you how to make one just from scratch here. So we can just hit new, type in our name of what we want it to be called, and then instead of Adams, of course, I'm going to reselect. I'm going to get rid of all this here. And then we are going to select Jordan's numbers. Let's try that again. And we hit enter, and now we have Jordan's numbers. And you can do that for every single person. Now we can just do equal sum, and then we can just type in Adam. And then as you can see, it already says you can insert it there. So I'm going to hit tab to select it, hit enter, and there we go. And then we can have equal average, and then do Adam again. And there we are. And there's his average. And then we can do that also for Jordan, since we made that name. I forgot to type in sum here. And there we are. And you can do that for every single person. And another thing that shows up within Name Manager is print area. So if print area does show up within your Name Manager at the beginning, don't be afraid. So if I just made a quick print area right here, and then go back to our formulas and the Name Manager, the print area shows up here, basically showing where it is, and you can always select that. So all of these things can be very helpful. There are more things within here. So maybe you want to use this use in formula here. So we can do it that way as well. We can do equal average, and then we can use in formula, and we just want Jordan. And there we are. And when you have that selection, you can also just go create from selection there, and it will do the same thing as going into the Name Manager and and creating a new one that way. And with that, I thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and have a wonderful day.